Hey everyone, and welcome to the How We Hustle podcast. I'm Mike.
And I'm Tanya, and we invite you to join us in our unfiltered conversation about the real life hustle of being an entrepreneur. Today on the podcast, I have the incredible Taylor Victoria. Taylor is the founder of Millenial Girls Media and the host of the Millenial Business Podcast. She's a social media extraordinaire, and she's the very definition of a digital nomad since she packed up everything with $600 in her bank account and moved to Bali all alone. Badass AF. Let's dive in. Okay, Taylor, I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you for joining me. Taylor interviewed me on her podcast, and after talking to her, I was like, you have to come on this podcast because your story is so amazing and you have so many incredible, like such a cool background, I feel like. So will you tell them a little bit about what you do and how you got started?
Yeah, absolutely. And first of all, thank you so much for having me on your podcast, because I feel often that I'm always interviewing other people. So it's nice to be interviewed for one. The way I got to where I am today. So when I finished a degree in communications and advertising at uni. And I went and did a 6-month internship at one of the most major radio stations in Australia, in the city where I lived. And I worked with the breakfast team at the radio station for 6 months, which was absolutely amazing. But then after I finished my internship, I couldn't find a job. And everyone just kept saying, you don't have enough experience, you don't have enough experience. And I'm like, well, I can't work for free for longer than 6 months. Like, I need money to eat. Food's pretty important to me.
Yeah, you come out of university and like, okay, I went and got the degree. I got work experience and I still don't have enough experience. Like,
I know. It's ridiculous. And so I was just like, stuff it. I'm going to start my own business. I'm confident in my skills and I'm confident in my ability and my knowledge and everything that I know that I want to do for my clients.
So ballsy of you. And I think that's so cool that you had the confidence and courage to just start your own business right out of the gate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was a lot of trial and error. I was doing it part-time to begin with. And I did take a couple of online courses just to sort of catch me up in the social media aspect of it, because my degree taught me, it was a very outdated degree. It taught me all about like print advertising, radio, newspaper, like billboards, all of the very traditional types of advertising and media and stuff. And I had to do a couple of sort of online courses to catch up. But I knew I really did want to focus on social media marketing because I love social media. I love the internet. I think it's amazing, the opportunities that it has opened up for people around the world, especially young people who wouldn't necessarily have these opportunities beforehand. So I really wanted to take full advantage of that. Sort of show people as well that it is possible if you decide and you put your mind to something and you want to do it. If you're willing to put in the hard work, then you can do anything. Because like now I'm living literally my dream life that was in my vision. I live in Bali. I have like a really freaking cute dog. Like I live amongst the rice paddies. Yeah, I'm surrounded by all these amazing entrepreneurs who also live in Bali, like such high level people who are just all doing such inspiring stuff. And the reason I'm here is because I put it in my vision, and then I just worked every single day, taking little steps closer and closer towards my vision until I got there. So
but it's pretty cool that like you basically live the dream life that people like aspire to live right out of the gate. So like, even I think that people would love to know, like she literally moved to Bali all by herself. I think that's so crazy. Like you went all by yourself, didn't know anybody, just figured it out. And then you got a dog. Tell them like about what you did.
It seems like the dream life from the outside, obviously, but So right up until I moved, my business was still very much part-time for me. I really just wanted to get out of where I was living. I was living in Canberra in Australia, where it's full of public servants and politicians and people who are very happy to stay in their little cubicle and just work forever and not do anything exciting. And that's not my vibe at all. So I knew I needed to get out. So I pretty much just told everyone that I was earning a lot more in my business than I was earning. And I had a whole bunch of savings that I didn't have. I had $500 saved. I was earning like $600 a month in my business. And I was like, if I don't just take this leap and push myself and commit to it, then I'm going to stay in Canberra forever. I had to really push myself because Canberra was my comfort zone. Like I still lived with my parents. I didn't really have to pay for much. It was, no, I didn't pay for bills. I didn't I just paid for like me and that was it. And so I didn't have a really, really strong driving factor to sort of get me to the next level and get me out of there, because it was so comfortable. So I knew if I just like threw myself in the deep end and moved to Bali, then I would just have to figure it out. And it has been really hard, but it is like so rewarding at the same time, because I know like I'm not going to have any regrets when I'm older, because I actually did the thing that I wanted to do. I committed and I moved to Bali, and it was so scary. I'd never even lived out of home before, and I was moving to a different country, earning $600 a month. Yeah. And then and I just had to figure it out. But that's like the joys of entrepreneurship, right? Is like you make it work, and it
jump
works
and make the net appear.
You're like, fuck yes, I made this work. So
yeah, that's so cool. I think it's so incredible that you literally just like threw yourself in, and then were like, you trusted and believed in yourself and your abilities enough to be like, no, like if put into this like pressure cooker of a situation, I will figure it out. And you have. So like maybe you can share a little bit about like, because I always think that this podcast is a lot about what people don't tell you about entrepreneurship. Like we romanticize it or glamorize it. And it's not all roses and butterflies. And I think like somebody could say, oh my gosh, she only had $500 and like she was only making $600 and she moved to Bali. That's amazing. Everything's going to be so easy. But that part is like, yes, you can do it. But like, what were the things that you really had to figure out and like struggle through at the beginning? Like what was difficult for you?
So for me, the main thing was sort of, because I have really, really big goals with my business. And I've created a 10-year vision for myself. So like in 10 years, the vision is huge. The company is going to be massive. But right now, there's obviously a very big gap in between. And so the first sort of thing that I faced was when I moved here, I did like a little mini launch and got a couple of new clients onboarded, and then quickly realized that I didn't really have any systems or processes set up at all to be able to get other people to help me with all of this extra work that I've now given myself. And so then I wasn't meeting the client's expectations. And made some of those clients that I got when I first moved here, within like a month or two, they dropped off because I hadn't set up the systems and the processes to be able to deal with them, to get other people to help me. And then I felt totally overwhelmed with the workload that I had to be able to try and like keep up and meet all of their expectations. So that was sort of like one of the main things that I really struggled with when I moved here. And I know something that we spoke about on my podcast is you always try and get your clients to level out their income across the month. And that is something that I only learned maybe a month ago for myself. I only figured it out maybe about a month ago. I'm like, why am I charging my clients monthly and getting like this huge sum of money? And then it like just very quickly dwindles away. And then I'm like, oh shit. Whereas like I could charge them weekly and it would be so much more steady. But that was also a huge thing when I first moved here. Was I would have a whole bunch of money and then it would quite quickly run out, because it's very easy in Bali because no one really cooks, right? Because the food's so cheap. It's like to get an amazing, beautifully delicious, healthy meal, you go out and it's like $6, like $5 or $6. So it's not worth you putting in the time or effort to cook. And also you just want to go and hang out with your friends. Like that's what you do to socialize. You just pretty much go out every night of the week just to have dinner with people. So also like the social aspect of trying to make new friends and involve myself in the community, I found I was going out every night and like spending a lot of money on food, more than I probably had to. And then so the money ran out even quicker when
that's a big thing with like entrepreneurs is like nobody teaches you how to set up your business so that it's not feast or famine. Like, and I think it's like so exciting at the beginning when you're like, oh my God, look how much money I made. And then all of a sudden you're like, but wait, now I have to start again every single month or like every single time. Wait, where did it all go? And I think that no one really teaches you the importance of setting up a system of recurring income. And in addition, like people that pay in full, and maybe this is a story I've created, but like people that pay in full are less likely to renew with you because they paid in a lump sum. If they're paying on a recurring basis, now they're like, you just continue. Like if they want to continue their contract, it's like nothing has changed for them. Whereas if they paid you all at once for a project, like one lump sum for a program or something like that, pay in fulls, then they are like, oh, if I'm going to do that again, now I have to come up with that same like large investment again. So I also think it helps them, continue to renew in addition to leveling out your income. So you know exactly how much money you're making and when the money's coming in.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, exactly. And that was huge for me when I first moved here. It was like I had some money mindset issues. And so I was attracting clients that couldn't afford to pay me. And then I was like really unsure as to when money was coming in because I was expecting it to come in. I was doing the work and I was showing up for those clients, but then like some of them couldn't afford to pay me. And then that also like really threw everything out of whack. So I think that's such an important thing is to like really figure out how you can level it out across the month.
Yeah. And definitely guys, get your income first, like get someone to pay you before you provide the services. I mean, as like a VA or someone like that, it's kind of hard because I think people have been burned so much by people that don't give the work that they've paid. But on the other hand, like you don't want to get into a situation where the person doesn't pay you for the services that you gave. So, and I've heard of that happening as well.
For my first 2 months here, like the clients were paying at the end of the month, but after the first 2 months, I was like, nope, changed it in my contracts. If you want work to begin, you pay the invoice. That's how it is.
That's the only way that it can work because otherwise, you run into a lot more situations like that. If somebody was saying, okay, I'm going to do what Taylor did. I'm going to sell everything or pack everything up and move to Bali. What would you say is something that you wish you had known sooner?
I would say probably getting a business coach sooner. So I have a coach now.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Everyone tells you, like, I think people think that's a sales pitch, but then everyone says, I wish that I had help sooner. So I have a coach now and he does help me a little bit with some business stuff, but he's more so, he's an emotional intelligence coach. So working on sort of old trauma and stories and some sort of deeper emotional things that I have going on from my past. Which I really did need to do that work as well. But I think, I don't know if like I should have had two at the same time because it's so important to have your mindset right to be able to flourish in your business. But at the same time, if I had have had a business coach and they would have been able to guide me from April to now with my business and sort of what steps to take and what to be doing next, and I think that would have helped me so much because I'm only now starting to look for a business coach that I want to start working with. And I know probably I would have been able to scale my business a lot faster if I had have done that. But I think just at the time, what I felt like I needed the most was the emotional stuff, which is so important because like now I feel like I have that more under wrap. And so then I know my business is not going to be affected by all these old stories and triggers and all of this deep stuff that I had going on that I've now worked through. Yeah. And I definitely think like entrepreneurship is such an emotional and personal journey because it's crazy. Like even I say to my clients that have gone through that emotional stuff, and they think like, oh, I've got this down. It still comes back up. As soon as you hit the next level, like all those old stories and old habits, you still have to work through them because this is like our old wiring that has happened. So every time we up level, you end up kind of needing to deal with a lot of that again. It's so funny. There's so much information out there. There's so much information that's for free out on the internet that I think it gives the belief and the feeling that oh, I can figure this out. There's so much free information out there. But at the end of the day, you don't really understand how to put it together or what it's supposed to look like, what things to do for your business, in what order, how to do them well. So it's so funny. I always say the same thing. I wish that I had been smart enough to be like, Tanya, get over yourself, get over your ego, just ask for help, hire someone, ask for help because asking for help is it just fast tracks you so much quicker instead of so much trial and error.
I know. And this year has been so much trial and error. It's been crazy. And I sometimes almost forget how great I'm usually most of the time. I'm so grateful that I'm living this life and I'm here in Bali and it's so amazing that I get to be here and living my dream. But then other times I'm like, holy shit, this is so freaking hard. I sort of just want to lie under my blankets, put the air conditioning on, put a movie on, put a jumper over my head and just like sit in my room and eat ice cream.
And like, let me tell you, that happens sometimes still to me. Like sometimes I also say like, I get to do this because not every day feels amazing and you don't feel like that expert every day and you don't feel like that badass every single day. Like I always talk about being a badass in your business, but I don't feel like a badass every single day. Like, trust me, like I go through my ups and downs. That's part of the journey and like normal. And I think that that's also where the accountability piece comes in play. Like when you are working with somebody, you can't do that forever. Like if you were doing it all by yourself and no one would ever know, obviously you have bills to pay, but it also helps for someone to be like, you had your time to be upset, go through a disappointment, feel bad about yourself. Now it's time to make a change. We got to like pick it up. Okay. You can do that for a couple of days. And then when's your death? When are we going to be like, okay, I'm done with this. Like I'm ready to take it to the next level, or I'm tired. Being tired when you've been working so hard is huge too, guys. Like we get tired. You're allowed to have some seasons of growth and seasons of hyper work and then seasons where you're hibernating.
Yeah, totally. And I think I was talking to my new business partner about this the other day. We're so harsh on ourselves because the past week, like I've been going through some like weird emotions and stuff, which I'm not usually a super emotional person, but I've been feeling very emotional the past week. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, this is weird. Like, I don't know what's wrong with me. Like, what's going on? I don't even know what's happening with my life anymore. Like, and she's like, there's nothing wrong with you. You're just being really harsh on yourself. Like, you're allowed to feel the feelings. That's totally okay. It's funny because in my head, I've made it, if I'm working on sort of emotional stuff and personal development stuff, it doesn't count as work in my head. Mm-hmm. But we were having this discussion yesterday and she was like, you realize how hard that stuff is way as well harder. As working on your business.
And sometimes she was like, it's way harder. Because I think like the business stuff is like sometimes can be an escape from what you're going through emotionally. So sometimes we hide in our business operations. Like we're like, oh, I have so much work to do. I can't deal with this right now. Totally. But whereas like when you're actually having to like go through the emotions and feel the feelings, that's really the hard, emotionally draining work. There is something good that comes from it after, like if you never go through that, then it's really always going to be there, like bubbling below the surface. So powerful work and just as important as the rest of the work. And being compassionate with yourself. I also think I agree with you on being too harsh because other people are not going through what you're going through. It's hard to like celebrate as much with other people. Like, how do you like to celebrate or who do you celebrate with when something good happens in your business? Yeah, well, I mean, I totally get what you mean because if I talk to people from home now, they sort of like, they get a bit funny and I can feel that they're sort of a bit jealous that they're sort of still stuck in Canberra, just working a job that they don't like. And I'm here doing all this crazy stuff. When good things do happen, I always tell my coach, he's my coach, but he's also one of my really, really good friends. So celebrate with him. And then I have just like a couple of friends as well. Or sometimes I just like to celebrate by myself and I'll like go and get a massage or like a facial or something because that's not something that I always do. So when I do it, it feels like super special. I think that's so important because celebrating is such a big part of the journey because like otherwise really there's no one who really understands like what a celebration for us is. I find it can be kind of lonely when people just don't understand what you're going through. You told me that Bali has like a really good community there of entrepreneurs, right? Like share a little bit about how you've gotten involved with getting to know people in this new space that you're living. The amazing thing about Bali especially in Canggu, which is the area that I live in, is there's so many co-working spaces and there's so many sort of entrepreneurial or business-focused events that are happening all the time. So when I first came, I just found I went to visit a couple of different co-working spaces. I chose the one that was the most aesthetically pleasing and that I liked the look of the most. And I just joined, and I'm such like a bubbly, happy, friendly person. So I literally would just like walk up to people and start talking to them, or like walk up to people and be like, hey, I'm Taylor. Do you want to be my friend? I just moved here. Oh my God, that's so amazing. It's like, I guess people are really open to that because they likely came there on their own as well. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing. And that's why the co-working spaces hold these events, is because
they recognize that most people are there working solo. They're solo entrepreneurs or freelancers, or there's not a lot of people that work like with business partners or teams or whatever. It's pretty much everyone that's working solo. So we have to create that sense of community somehow. So they're always having these events and like going to like sunset and coconuts, or lots of different things like dinners and lunches, and sometimes they have ping pong tournaments and like acro yoga, and like there's fun events, and then there's also business events. So it's really good you get to meet people sort of on their business side, but then also like meet them in the more fun side as well, which is really cool.
So good. And like, do you think that has helped you reach out to people on social media? Like in terms of social media, like you're really good at reaching out to people and like connecting with new people online.
For me, I'm a very confident person, so it doesn't scare me to reach out to people online or in person. Like I will literally walk up to someone and say, like, I've walked up to multiple people and just said, hey, my name's Taylor, do you want to be my friend? That's not an issue for me. So reaching out to people online.
Guys, try that out.
It's actually really, because no one ever does it, people get like a little bit surprised, but then they're like, hell yeah, I want to be your friend. Like, because they're impressed that you had the confidence to do that. But in terms of reaching out online, when I first started this podcast, I sort of only were reaching out to people that I knew because I hadn't flexed my muscle. It's like when you go to the gym, right? You have to flex the muscle to grow the muscles. I hadn't flexed my muscle enough of like podcasting, asking people to be on the podcast and actually interviewing people and stuff. So I didn't necessarily have the confidence around that. But once I started to grow and get more confident with that, then one day I just decided, I was like, I'm just going to reach out to all these people that have super successful businesses. And if they don't reply, then I'm in the same situation that I'm in now. Yeah. If they do reply and say yes, then I've got some freaking awesome people on my podcast. If you don't ask, the answer's always going to be no.
Yes,
that's the thing.
I totally agree. If you don't ask, the answer's always going to be no. My dad has always said that to me, and I love that. What is the harm in asking? Because like the worst case is you're literally, as you said, right back where you were before. So what has been your experience from reaching out to people? Yeah,
really positive. Like most people reply and say yes. And I'm like, hell yeah, this is great.
So easy.
And so now I'm making like all these amazing connections with people online who I never would have even been connected to beforehand, or I might have just been following them and sort of like admiring them from afar and thinking, oh, I could never interview them. But I just decided one day, stuff it, I'm just going to ask and see what happens. And now I'm just like making friends all around the world with all these cool people.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I always find like podcasting is such like a cool area to connect with people you'd otherwise never connect with. Like it's such a great thing. If anyone is thinking about doing a podcast, it's a great way to connect with other people. One of the things you guys don't know about Taylor just yet is that she is a magician when it comes to interviewing. Like you are so flawless with interviewing people. I was like blown away by it. And I do a lot of podcast interviews and I was like, wow, you are so good at this. How did you get so good at that? Like, tell us a little bit about some of the tips that you have for interviewing people.
Yeah, totally. So I guess it all sort of stems from when I did my internship at the radio station. So they gave me sort of a few things to think about when, like, I got to be on air a couple of times. I never got to interview anyone. I would always listen to them interviewing people as well and sort of watch them when people came into studio and stuff. Firstly, like the very first thing that they taught me is if the other person's speaking, never interrupt them. Let them finish, because when you're listening to it and you can't see the people talking, if there's two people talking at once, it's very conflicting for the listener to hear. So that was like the number one thing that they taught me, is when you are interviewing, never interrupt the other person. And then in terms of like creating questions and stuff, because if you guys do listen to mine and Tanya's podcast episode, like I didn't prep any of those questions. I just make them up on the fly. When we start, I sort of ask the person before we start recording, what do you most want to be known for by my audience? So I have a general idea as to what the sort of overarching umbrella theme that they want to be known for is. And then I just try to pick out keywords that people say when I'm interviewing them. I just write them quickly, jot them down. I have a notebook in front of me, always jot down sort of keywords. And then just come up with questions that I know will, one, provide value to the audience, but two, also help that person to share something that they because that's their area of expertise, and they told you what they want to be known for right at the start before you started recording. So you want to be able to empower them and support them to share the knowledge that they have and also provide as much value to the audience as possible.
That is amazing. Like, what a great summary of what it's like to interview somebody and some great tips for interviewing that flows really well into what you do in your business. Will you tell them a little bit about what you do?
I have a business. I have a couple of businesses now, which is pretty crazy to me. But my main business is called Millennial Girls Media. And basically we help mission-led entrepreneurs to become seen, heard, and paid online. So we do that through content creation, a lot of video production, podcast production, paid campaigns, branding, messaging, all of that sort of stuff. A lot of strategy as well to figure out what sort of content we need to be creating to share the right messages with the specific target market. I have also recently started coaching as well, because I had so many people reaching out to me being like, how do you do it? Like, how do you live in Bali and run your own business? And a lot of mindset people who wanted mindset coaching as well as some business coaching. And then recently also co-founded a new company that we're going to be launching on the 1st of January. My friend Yoka and I, it's called Unbound Video Productions, and it is unlimited video editing for a fixed monthly fee.
What? That is unreal. Like, firstly, I'm going to put all these links in the show notes. So we never had this discussion before, but in 2018, for literally a year, I was looking for somebody to do exactly that. Simply put, to do video editing, because it takes so much time to edit video. I am no pro. I'm better at it now, but I was so bad at it before. And I was like, it would take me like a whole week to edit one video. It was insane. But finding somebody for a reasonable price was insane. Like, to do like 1 or 2 videos, he was like $1,000. I was like, what? Like, I do a video every week. Like, are you kidding?
Well, it's such a huge problem that we kept hearing it around Bali all the time in the community, or the business community here, is that people really needed video editors but couldn't find good video editors, or they couldn't find an affordable good video editor. But they had a lot of content that they wanted to be producing, but they just couldn't find anyone. So we decided to, launch this company. We're going to have a fixed video editor, so they'll know your branding, your what you want your videos to have, the look and the feel, so it's all consistent. You'll have your account manager, make sure everything's perfect for you, and you just pay a fixed monthly fee. You upload your videos, send us the link, and we just work through it like a conveyor belt.
That is incredible, guys. So the link will be in the show notes for sure. Definitely check that out. In addition to your media company and your coaching, we'll leave all those links. So if you guys want to get in touch with Taylor, definitely click one of those links. How else can they get in touch with you?
Just shoot me a DM on Instagram. My name is Taylor.Victoria. It's got 2 A's at the end because normal Taylor.Victoria was already taken.
And your podcast is...
the Millennial Business Podcast. Yeah.
Also, I'll leave that in the show notes, but definitely check it out, because I've interviewed on there, and she is pro at interviewing people and has such incredible guests. So what would you say as the last thing, Taylor, before we go, if you were giving advice to your younger self?
Stop doubting yourself, because yes, I seem very confident and high energy and blah, 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 but I overthink everything. And especially when I first started, I doubted myself about everything. And because of that doubt, I then wouldn't take action. It would keep me from achieving my goals. It would prolong what I was trying to achieve. Whereas if I had have just stopped doubting myself and just done it, and even if it was wrong, you still learn something from it. It's never wrong. You either learn or you grow. If I just had have gone for it and done the things more quickly and stopped doubting myself, then I think I would have been able to do a lot more than I already have.
And if you look back on it, like every time you did go forth without the doubt, look what came out of it. Like, you literally moved to Bali. You started these incredible businesses. You had these clients. Every time that you didn't doubt yourself and you did something, it paid off.
Totally. When me and my new business partner decided to launch Unbound Video Productions, she came to me with the idea, and we decided we wanted to launch it in 9 days. She came to me with this idea and was like, I want you to be my business partner in this. And I was like, hell yeah, let's do it.
But that's amazing. Like, now you have that story of just do it. Don't let the doubt stop you from moving forward, because that's how it's not. And you get results quicker.
Yeah. Well, and there was the craziest things kept happening to us. Like, there were Facebook wouldn't let us set up a business account. We couldn't set up an Instagram account. Our credit cards were getting declined. And then there was a freaking earthquake an hour before we were launching. We're like sitting at the co-working space and everything is shaking. And we were just like, this is a sign from the universe that we are so unstoppable that we're shaking the freaking earth.
That is the best answer I've ever heard. Like, there is an earthquake and we are unstoppable. We're shaking the freaking earth. Of all the stories that you could ever have, like, that is the best mindset. Proof that these ladies have the mindset of freaking badass women. Like, amazing. I can't wait. I'm definitely going to check it out. So thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you for sharing your story.
Yay. Can't wait. Bye.
If you loved this episode, let us know by taking a screenshot and sharing it on your Instagram stories. Tag me at Wholehearted Business Coach.
And you can find me at LinkedIn Michael.